years as a student. It was a prestigious school. A student had to study very seriously to obtain a degree there, and he could then look forward to a fine career. To speak openly against British rule and in favor of independence meant to risk being expelled. To lose education and career, only the most rebellious would dare. So the students met undercover and listened to the revolutionary leaders. We want Swaraj. We want independence, our own government, our own schools. Guatemalhan watched his son with concern. He saw Abiy not as one of the hundreds of millions of instruments meant to change Indians' political destiny, but as his pet son. His first concern was for Abiy's welfare. While world events moved across the stage of history, Guater, Guatemalhan concentrated on his son's future, as he hoped it would be, and as he had always prayed it would be. He was planning for Abiy to become a pure Vaishnava, a devotee of Radharani. He had taught Abiy to worship Krishna and be pure in character, and had arranged his education Now Guatemalhan thought of getting him married. According to the Vedic system, a marriage should be carefully arranged by the parents. It should take place before the girl reaches puberty. Guatemalhan had gotten his first daughter married in her ninth year, his second daughter at 12, and his third daughter at 11. When his second daughter was going on 12, Rajani had said, I shall go to the river and commit suicide if you don't get her married at once. In the Vedic system, there was no courtship, nor was there nor was the couple allowed to live together during the first years of their marriage. The young girl would begin serving her husband by cooking for him at her parents' house and coming before him to serve him his meal or by taking part in some formal exchange. Then as the boy and girl grew to physical maturity, they would become so lovable to one another that they would be inseparable. The girl would naturally remain faithful to her husband since she would have no association with any other boy as she grew to puberty. Guatemalhan had many friends in Calcutta with eligible young daughters, and for a long time he had been considering a suitable wife for Abby. After careful consultation, he finally chose Radharani Datta, the daughter of Suvarnavanik, family associated with the Mullaks. Radharani was 11 years old, and after the meeting between her father and Guatemalhan, both families agreed upon the marriage. Although Abby was a third-year college student with no income, it was uncommon for a student to marry, and he would have no immediate financial response. It was not uncommon for a student to marry, and he would have no immediate financial responsibilities. Abby didn't appreciate his father's choice of wife. He had thought of marrying another girl, but in deference to his father, he put aside his reluctance. For the time being, he was living with his family and she with hers. So his marital responsibilities of supporting a family would not be immediate. First, he had to finish college. During his year at Scottish churches, Abbey began to feel reluctant about accepting his degree. As a sympathizer to the nationalist cause, he preferred national schools and self-government over the British institutions, but could see that as but he could see that as yet no such alternatives existed. Gandhi, however, was calling on Indian students to forsake their studies. The foreign run schools, he said, instilled a slave mentality. They made they made one no more than a puppet in the hands of the British. Still, a college degree was the basis of a life's career. Abbey weighed the choices carefully. Guatemalhan Guatemalhan didn't want Abbey to do something he would later regret. He had always tried to plan the best for his son, but Abbey was 23 and would have to make this decision for himself. Guatemalhan thought of the future. The horoscope said his son would be a great religious preacher at age 70, but Guatemalhan did not expect to live to see it. Still, he had every reason to accept the horoscope as accurate. as he wanted to prepare Abby. He tried to plan things accordingly, but there was no way to guess what Krishna would do. Everything depended on Krishna, and Krishna was above nationalism, above the laws of astrology, and above the desires of a modest cloth merchant aspiring to make his son a pure devotee of Srimad Radharani and a preacher of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Although Guadalmohan had always allowed Abby to do what he wanted, he had also carefully guided him always on the path he knew was best. Now, without interfering with Abby's decision about college, excuse me, Guadalmohan set about to arrange good employment for him, regardless of what else might happen. In 1920, Abby completed his fourth year of college and took the BA exam. Afterwards, with the ordeal of final examinations behind him, he took a short vacation. To fulfill a long cherished desire, he traveled alone a day's journey to train to Jagannath Puri. Srila Prabhupada, every day of my boyhood, I used to think how to go to Jagannath Puri and how to go to Vrindavana. At that time, the fare was for Vrindavana 4 or 5 rupees, and similarly for Jagannath Puri. So I was thinking, when shall I go? I took the first opportunity to go to the Jagannath Puri. He walked along the same He walked along the same broad street where, for thousands of years, the Rath Yatra procession had passed. In the market, shops displayed small carved and painted wooden murtis of Lord Jagannath. Although it was not Rath Yatra season, tourists were purchasing souvenirs, and in the temple they purchased Jagannath Prasadam. In the Jagannath temple, 56 gigantic offerings of cooked rice and vegetables were presented daily in worship before the deities of Jagannath, Balarama, and Subhadra. Abby entered the temple and saw the deities on a side altar, the Murti of Lord Chaitanya in his six-armed form, manifesting himself simultaneously as Krishna, Rama, and the sannyasi Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya was famous in Puri, where he had spent the last 18 years of his life conducting Hare Krishna Kirtana with his followers and dancing ecstatically. At the yearly Rath Yatra, as the carts were wheeled along the main road surrounded by thousands of devotees, Lord Chaitanya had danced and swooned as the ecstasy of his intense love of separation from Lord Krishna.